The Amp Theory Podcast with Peter Vazquez and Scott Kalnasy.
And we're live.
We're live.
Kind of.
Cool,
It's
cool,
going
cool.
up on YouTube and being recorded.
Yeah.
I got a question for you before we get started.
What's up?
The shirt you're wearing,
What about it?
where'd you get it?
I got it from fucking what's that boot place, bro? Fucking Western House. Boot.
Cavender's?
Is it Cavender's? No, it's
don't
not
know.
Cavender's. It's
You look like you just came from the hip hop rodeo.
the Boot Barn, bro. You just fucking mad. I look a fucking.
Hey,
cowboy.
you got the pearl snaps on your nipples, man. Like I can't
It's
take
hypnotizing.
I can't take you serious. I can't look at you.
Bro.
You're too pretty.
You can't look at me because you're intimidated.
Nah, you're just too
Because
pretty.
you know I'm more of a man.
I don't know about that.
You betas, bro.
Oh, nah, I don't have a pink belt.
Yeah, you betas.
That's a deep cut. Nobody knows about that yet.
No, man. Well, how you doing? How's your week?
It was pretty good. Pretty long. I'm actually glad to be here.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm really excited for this episode.
Yeah.
Before we start,
Mm-hmm.
we do want to mention we are on Spotify.
Yep.
We're on Apple Podcasts.
Doing it big.
Yep.
And Anchor.
And Anchor.
And YouTube.
And YouTube.
And Facebook.
And Facebook.
And Instagram.
Instagram. TikTok.
Oh, yeah. We're on
We
that
haven't
one
put
too.
any of our our TikTok dances up, but we're working on them.
We're saving that for Jonathan.
Yeah.
Come on. We're already up here talking. You got to dance for us.
You don't pay me enough to dance.
We don't pay you anything.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why I'm not dancing.
Yeah, we want to make sure we mention that because some of the feedback we got is that people didn't want to look at us.
Yeah.
We liked it better when there was no video. So can we
Yeah.
look at the audio? I mean, can we hear the audio without looking at your face? And
Pretty
so
much.
that's where you can do that. And fuck you. But so today our episode is on the second part of the AMP theory. Last episode was on accountability. This episode is on mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really excited for this episode because I feel like...
Shouldn't you be excited for every episode?
yeah, but this one...
This one's a banger.
Yeah, no, this one, I feel good. I like it because there's so much. I feel like accountability... I mean, each part is important.
Mm-hmm.
And this one's important in its own right. And I just feel like I have researched a lot and want to share a lot.
Cool.
Yeah. So, just like we started off last episode, we want to define mindset, So when I looked up mindset, it basically said your mental attitudes and inclinations. And I know you had another one that was really good.
Yeah, the definition of the mindset is the established set of attitudes held by someone.
Yeah.
Which I like that it, pertains to like a specific person, specific thinking.
Yeah. And, when I read and it brought up like mental attitudes, I was like, well, what's the difference between a mental attitude and just attitude? At first, I didn't know. So, what I started thinking, I was like, well, what's an attitude? And your attitude is kind of just different based on the subject, right? So you go into a job and if you're not really feeling it, your attitude's going to probably be a little shitty. You're not going to want to do a lot of extra shit, right? But you might, go play soccer with a few friends, and you love soccer, so you give it a little extra. And your attitude can change, based on the subject. So then I was thinking then maybe your mental attitude is a little bit broader than that. It's kind of like more your attitude in general.
Okay.
So basically how the attitude of how you live your life, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think about it?
So, I have to agree with you. Like when you go for like a job interview, you're putting your best foot forward, right? You're showing like the best version of yourself. You're trying to put your best attitude out there. Mm-hmm. You're trying to keep that in check, and then over time, like sometimes you get apathetic, and sometimes things change, and that's not always like the best when it comes to progression.
Yeah, for sure. Man, I don't know. I just kind of feel like with mindset, I started really truly to understand why you can kind of get yourself in a hole,
Mhm.
you know, of this constant like negativity, and it's all kind of like just really in your head.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that I wanted to kind of mention when I was like thinking about attitude and mindset is that like when you tend to have more of a mindset of like a negative mindset, we'll just call it a negative mindset, right? What starts happening is that, you know, nothing that you do is ever really good enough, right? So you go to work, but you ain't really trying to be there.
Yeah.
So you don't give 100% effort, and you're like, fuck,
Guilty.
you know, I'm just coming in here, I'm just going through the motions, I'm just doing what I got to do, and then you go on to the next thing, right? And then you're like, I have to go get groceries, you know? So then you're like just doing it to get it out of the way. And next, you know, you go off to the next thing. And you only really try to have a good attitude really about the pleasures of life, you know? So you're like, man, I'm about to take this bath, you know, and it's going to feel great. I'm about to go sit here and watch this series, and that's going to be great. And I'm going to lounge around, and man, tomorrow I'm off, so I'm just going to sleep in. You know, like the easy pleasures become your highlights.
Right.
But what's bad about that I started kind of realizing is when you start having like a negative mindset and you start only seeking the easy pleasures, then you kind of dig a hole that nothing really is ever going to be like worth doing. Like any little friction, any little bad thing, it's just going to be like, ugh.
Yeah. So I know we use like fitness as like a vehicle to kind of like guide people and try to help them. When it comes to like running or like working out, like there's that battle in my mind. It's like, man, like I could really take the easy road. I could sit here. I could just keep watching TV. I don't have to look at my shoes. Like if I don't see my shoes, like they're not there, I'm not going to go run. Or to kind of be like ready to go to the gym, but man, like I really could take a nap instead. Like I have to like battle that like pretty much all the time. But my attitude and my mindset changed once I actually, it starts with like putting on my shoes. Shoes are on, I'm a step closer to getting out the door. All right, keys are in my hand, I'm a step closer towards my goal. All right, I'm at the gym, now it's time to put in work, actions in place. And then when I finish it, like I feel accomplished. I'm like, man, it took step A for me to get my shoes on to step D to feeling great about myself. But I don't like to get in it's like that mindset where I'm just like real apathetic towards everything. Even if I start out that way, I have to battle that. And after I've beaten it, I feel a lot better about like what I've done and what I've accomplished. Even if it's something as simple as like doing like a mile run or lifting weights for an hour.
Like, do you feel like the way that you set that up where you know, just take one step every time to get like a little bit closer to what you're getting, like does it feel like you're kind of building momentum? Like do you feel like you're giving like yourself little wins, and eventually you like it kind of gives you that momentum to then take care of like the harder shit?
Like little wins, no matter how small, is still a win. And at the end of the day, like if you count all that up, like you have a victory there. And if you just do that every day, if even though like, you don't want to, like that makes you like a stronger person. Like you have a stronger will for that, because it's so easy to just sit at home. And it's so hard to put in work.
You know, and it's funny, like this may come as a surprise, Scott, but
is it about the shirt?
Fuck you. So the thing that might surprise a lot of people, right, is that I'm actually not the smartest person in the world.
Well, we said that on episode 1 that we were
but sometimes I have to remind people because they hear me and they're like, that guy's really fucking smart. But sometimes I have to dumb things down, right? I have to bring them to their basic form, right? And what I had to start thinking about that helped me, right, with like the feels of like, shit, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, right, is the fact that the feels, the stuff that we feel, right, regardless of what the feeling is, it's just a chemical that our brain releases.
Okay.
Right? Like that's it.
Sure.
That's all it is, right? You happy? Your brain releases a certain kind of chemical.
Where'd you get your PhD?
Fucking
YouTube?
YouTube, the internet. But
Wikipedia.
Yeah, no, but like, you know, you feel sad,
Yeah.
It's because it's like sad, happy, aren't real things. They're just chemicals that our body releases, right?
Yeah.
And I think that what you've found that's helping you out is that you've found a way to make something where you think like, oh, I have to go run, and it sucks at times, right? It fucking sucks, and you like that first feeling that you get, your brain starts releasing that I don't want to fucking do this chemical, right? Like, it's like,
it's like
nah,
not today.
Yeah. But hey, you still got to catch up on that season 6 of whatever the fuck you're watching, right? But what you're doing is you're like, okay, but I'm gonna put on my shoes, right? And you put on your fucking shoes, and what do? You just release a little, like that fucking Salt Bay, right? A little bit of fucking feel good, right?
I imagine it more like Mario, like just one little one, one little one, and then getting my car keys, like walking across the house to get the keys, like okay, cool, like now I'm up, now I'm moving.
Yeah, and what you're doing is you're just releasing little chemicals in your head that are making you feel good.
Yeah.
And what happens is that like now, like you're just basically creating unhealthy habits into healthy habits, and that's what I'm getting from all this talk about the mind.
Right.
Is that for centuries our minds have wanted to do what's fucking easy, right? Like we don't have to want to fucking run because a fucking lion is chasing us, right? That's not what fucking I want to do today, right?
Yeah, like I would not. I'd be dead. I'd be done for it.
Yeah. It's fucking centuries of us worrying, right? Worrying that if we like go to this water hole, a fucking crocodile come out and eat one of our kids. Like it's like fucking centuries and centuries of survivalship. And now we've gotten to the point where we live in 2021, in arguably the best country in the world, right? Where our way of living is a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, we've gotten so comfortable that like a lot of us don't know what it's like to do hard work.
Yeah.
A lot of us don't know what it's like to suffer.
Yeah.
And like suffering, like getting over it and getting stronger is like what a lot of people like want to do, and that is their goal. But a lot of people are too comfortable and set in their own ways to actually do it. Like there's people don't understand that like there's success through suffering.
Yeah.
Like and I don't mean like putting yourself like in danger, putting yourself like through pain, but to get stronger, you have to lift weights, right? To get smarter, you have to read books. To develop your talent, you have to practice.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people who have like fixed mindsets, they're like, well, the people that I look up to, they're so good at this.
Yeah.
And they were just born that way.
Yeah.
They don't see that like the person that they're looking up to, like their mentality is, I may not be the best, but I can be.
Yeah.
Or I can practice harder to get better.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they want that, but they don't want to put in the work.
Yeah, and it's funny that you said that because, like, it's funny how easy the negativity can creep in. Like one thing, like me and you had a conversation this week, and
Off camera,
and I was telling you that because I started reading this other book from Ryan Holiday, Stillness is the Key, and he says, journaling is good. Yeah. So there, almost every night, there's a time where, like, my wife puts the kids to sleep, and I get to sit there. So what I just started, like, journaling on my phone, right, on the notes. And, I was just thinking to myself, and one of the things that kind of hit me is, like, okay, you're doing this podcast. You ain't shit, motherfucker. Like, what makes you think that, like, somebody would even like listen to you? Like, what have you done? And it's crazy how like I really started like just going down that avenue, and then I was like, I don't want to do this podcast anymore. Like a lot of self-doubt and a lot of negativity started hitting me, right? But what kind of helped me recenter myself and kind of say like, what can I offer people, right, is the fact that when you do look at these people with these mindsets, right, you're kind of seeing a final product. Like Goggins and Jocko Willink, like all these. I'm really into like those ultra runners, and fighters, the UFC boxers. Like I love that mindset, right? But when you looking at those people, that's like a final product.
Yeah,
right?
You don't see like the pain, sweat, and tears.
Yeah. Like all this stuff, and like us, where we're like in a journey to get somewhere. I feel like that's kind of like what we can offer is that like, hey, like it's gonna be hard. Like these are things you have to train. We're not talking as teachers. We're talking as like, hey, we're going through this shit too. And if you're going through it, like, we understand.
Yeah.
But where mindset comes in, right, is that now we're changing all that negative thinking, all that self-doubt, right, into things that you can do. And one thing that I always tell my daughter, right, is like, she wants to be an artist.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that, like, you want to do, like, you have. The motherfucker that's doing what you want to do has 2 fucking hands, 2 fucking legs, you know? Like, he has a brain. Like, you have all that shit.
Right.
If they can do it, you can do it, you know? And
try and fail and then try again.
exactly. And so that anytime you're trying to accomplish anything and that negativity starts setting in of like, well, I can't do it, I can't do this, it's like you kind of almost have to think, but wait. If somebody else is doing it, then I should be able to do it.
Yeah.
You know? It might be hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might suck. but I could do it.
Yeah,
you know?
you have to embrace that. Like, anything that you want to be good at. If you want to be good at your job, if you want to be good at an instrument, fit, whatever. For us, trying to do this podcast and be the best that we can be at it, like, we're trying. We're going to fail. I'm sure there's going to be something where we drop the ball, but as long as we have, like, that mindset that we're not going to give up, that we're not as good as we're ever going to be, that we can get better, like, we will get better.
Yeah.
And, like, that's, like, the difference between, like, a fixed mindset and a growth mindset.
Yeah. And, you know, I guess now that you brought up the growth and fixed mindset,
Yeah.
you know, so growth and fixed mindset is something that was kind of, I don't know if it was discovered or pushed by Carol Dweck.
Yeah.
You know, I actually first came across this mindset when I was a manager at a T-Mobile store.
Yeah.
And it was something that I actually would put on a whiteboard for my employees because, you know, I wanted to make sure that, you know, they were able to learn as much as they could and all that stuff. And what I started realizing when I learned the fixed and growth mindset is that you kind of meet those people, right? Like right away, you can start, once you know it, you kind of start being, oh, okay, this guy's a little fixed, this guy's a little growth in any given subject. So what that is, right, is that the fixed mindset is basically somebody who says, you know, you're born with a certain amount of talents. You know, you're either good at math or you suck at math. You know, you're either athletic or you're not. You know, things are just set.
Yeah, they don't want to try to get better. That was the main takeaway that I took, or from like Carol Dweck, like watching like YouTube videos talking about her or having her talk about like the growth and fixed mindset. Like the people who have like that fixed mindset, they're scared, right? And we even talked about this. They're too scared to get out of their own way, and because of that fear, like there's people that you and I both love, and they have fixed mindsets because no matter how much they might aspire to do something to better themselves, they're too afraid to do it, and because they're too afraid to do it, they have that fixed mindset. Like, no, I don't have like the drive to do it because I'm not good enough. I don't have that passion that you have. Well, fuck, man. Like, anybody can do it. You and I, we're stupid and lazy. Like, if we can do it, you can do it.
Yeah. And you know, sometimes I do think that a fixed mindset comes from laziness, from excuses and stuff like that. But also, what the videos in that what Carol Dweck said in those videos were, you know, a lot of it is really our generation, you know, was kind of like the first generation that was getting a lot of praise, right? It's like praise your kids, you know, tell them, oh, you're doing great all the time, woohoo, you know, like you know, you're freaking awesome, and it's actually gotten a little bit worse, right?
Yeah,
with participation trophies
Exactly.
and you know, everybody's a winner. No, there's winners and there's losers, you know, and it doesn't mean that you, like, if you're a loser, you'll always be a loser. Yeah, it just means that you lost this time.
Harder. Yeah, you have to try harder. Yeah, like losing builds character, and a lot of people don't want to lose. That's why I feel like there's those participation trophies. Yeah, because there's like some mom out there who's like, no, my kid deserves what that like team got, and then it just you know, and I could be completely wrong, and I'm just using like my years that I played soccer. I played for 11 years, and on the teams that I was on good teams, and I was on fucking suck teams.
Yeah.
And there were always like parents that were out there, like even when I was on the bad teams, are like, well, we deserve like what they got.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we don't. Like I didn't show up to practice. They didn't show up to practice, so we didn't do anything to enhance our skills. Like those people, like that team scored 10 goals on us to our 2.
Yeah.
And that's not an exaggeration. Like we got blown out, but there was still like some angry person, mother, dad. I don't know who it was exactly anymore, but they were out there like, we deserve what they got.
I think Scott sucks so bad that he one of those scores was from him. He scored on his own team.
All right, I'm gonna have to stop you there. Because last time when you like said that you called me up late nights, like fuck you, I actually got called by a couple friends. They're like, hey, fuck you, and I'm like, what? They're like, we listen to the podcast. We have 20 minutes before we have to be somewhere, and now I want to work out because you inspired me. Fuck you. I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
Like you're welcome. Like if that's what this is about. Like,
So now
cool.
nobody's gonna pick Scott to play soccer because he's gonna score on his own team.
Hey man, a score is a score is a score.
Yeah. No, man, but like you're 100% like on it because you know I played baseball growing up, you know, and so there in baseball there's little league, right, and then there's like select ball.
Yeah, and you were like the only adult in Little League, right?
I think
because
so.
you were so bad.
I was so bad, they actually like held me back a few years, and I was a record always the tallest kid on the team. And I also had the most kids on the team too because I was like an adult. But
okay.
Anyways, no, fuck that. I was actually very great. There's statues of me all around Garland.
What do we talk about, ego?
Oh, my bad.
You better check that shit. That was just last week.
Yeah, I forget. But no, I mean like in baseball there's little league and there's select ball.
Yeah.
Right. So the difference is little league. Everybody gets to be on a team. Right? In select ball, you try out, some make it, some don't. We were kind of broke growing up, so I always played Little League, right? And while I did rise to be one of the best in Little League, once I hit high school and you start playing against these select kids, you're like, God damn. It's like these motherfuckers are grown-ass men, like throwing the ball, like, you know, and it's like shit, like, there was such a curve that I had to go, like, from being in Little League to all of a sudden high school ball where you're, like, facing the best in Texas. I mean, baseball is big in Texas, you know? So it was such a dramatic increase in talent, you know?
Yeah.
And these are the kids that then go into college, into the minors, and eventually into the pros, you know? So... So,
did you notice like a drastic increase when you played from Little League to high school?
The difference was gigantic. So I played select ball in Little League, and that was hard then. But the level from Little League basically to high school was 10 times better.
God, I love your deep voice.
Whatever.
That's your radio voice.
But as Peter was saying, it's perfect.
Yeah.
You know, it losing. You know, having to deal with, you know, dealing with select teams before and then going into high school where the competition was way higher.
Yeah.
That history of losing and, you know, knowing like, oh, these people are better, it makes you want to be better.
Yeah.
So it ups your game. When you get to that level and you see everybody else is better, if you have that mindset of, you know, I want to be the best, it ups your game. As well.
Yeah.
I can agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, so you know, the proof is in the pudding. Right? Is that you know, if you reward you know the effort versus the actual talent, telling somebody, hey, you're really talented versus saying, hey, you work hard, that actually helps people more. And this is where we'll kind of get into the growth mindset, right?
Yeah.
So the growth mindset, what's the difference between fix and growth? Well, the growth mindset is more of the yet.
Yeah, I love that, like what Carol Dweck said about the power of like yet, because she talked about like students, and I'm not exactly sure where the high school was, but they had to have 83 credits to graduate high school, and if they didn't have like those 83 credits to graduate, it didn't say pass or fail, it just said not yet. and like having like that not yet mentality towards things that you want to do or like goals that you set is like perfect. Because like how we said, like with sports, like if we weren't like the best soccer player or best baseball players, you know, if we had that like mindset of like, okay, we might not be the greatest, but we can definitely get better than what we are now, and I'm just not there yet. Like when it comes to studying, like studying for like these like podcasts, man, like there are so many things that I've figured out, like from like looking up any manner of thing to like have like these conversations. Like on day one, I'm like, man, I'm so stupid. Like I'm not smart enough to have this conversation on Sunday, and I'm like freaking out. But I will get there. I will be able to have this conversation. Just on day one, I'm not there yet.
Yeah. And, you know, just having that growth mindset is that you can get better. You can
Absolutely.
put effort and you can get better, right? Like
like with our guitar playing.
Yeah. You know, you want to play better, you practice more. You practice more, you get better. You know, it's within the practice. And, you know, that's where... going back to what I was saying earlier, when you just do easy shit, you put yourself in a fixed mindset because, again, you have your two things, right? Either you were told all the time, hey, you're great, you know, like everything's good. You're the smartest kid in the world, you know, and then all of a sudden, you know, you only stay in that range, right? Because one of the studies that they had done on a fixed mindset is that those kids that got rewarded, so there was some kids, right?
Two different types of praise, right?
So there were some kids that made that did a very easy puzzle, right, or test. It was a puzzle. Yeah,
It was a puzzle. They had easy puzzles.
Yeah, and it was easy puzzle, and one half of the kids were praised on their smarts, and the other were praised on their effort, the hard work.
Yes.
The ones that were praised with their smarts, when they were told about the next test, they were kind of given a choice of if things were easier or harder. And those kids, because they wanted to guard that praise of being smart, they then started, they then picked the easier test to keep that image of being smart. And that's what we do, right? You got praise as a kid or as you were growing up or at work or as whatever it is, you got praise for being a certain type of way. And now you're trying to guard that. So what you do is the challenges that you pick for yourself aren't really that hard. You're like, okay, well, you know, I'm gonna stay in my zone just to have that confirmation bias of this idea that I have in my head.
Yeah.
And anything that then challenges that, you use that fixed mindset to say, oh, well, that's not where my thing is at.
Yeah, like I thought it was interesting, like with the puzzles, because what she also said was like as she like tracked those kids through like the 3 years that she was tracking them, was that like they didn't increase at all. They didn't like grow like to the point that like the growth mindset kids did, because they were too. When you're told like that you're great, right? It goes with ego too, right? You don't think that you have anywhere to go. You're like, okay, cool. I've been told that I'm great my whole life. I don't need to study. I don't need to do anything. But what her study proved was, you know, that's not the case. Like people who are told that they're great from the jump, or that they're so smart, or that they're so this or so that, like they're like, okay, cool. I don't have to do anything. I'm gonna stay right here. I'm gonna coast. I might hang out with people who are lesser than me just so I continue to look smarter. But with anything, like finding like a coach in life, or finding like a coach for like a team, or some like a teacher that like you see as like a mentor, they're not always going to be like, you're good at this, don't change. They're going to be like, okay, I see the effort that you put in, I see where you're coming from, but this is what you need to do. These are the steps that you need to take in order to get better. And if you do these things, if you put in the time, if you put in the effort, you're going to get smarter, you're going to get stronger, and you're going to be able to like get like to the next level that you want to get to. You just have to be willing to put in that time and effort.
Yeah. And when you are putting that time and effort, you have to be able to say like, you know, this is where I am, right? And I'm just not where I want to be yet.
Right.
You know, and when you think about things like that, you, no matter if you're like, because a mentor, I feel should be somebody who then raises you to a level of being uncomfortable. Yeah. Right. And so once he raises you to that level and teaches you those skills, then it's up to you to practice those skills till they become comfortable. So that then when he identifies that, he takes you to the next level of uncomfortableness. But if you don't have growth mindset, right, and you're never putting yourself through these little challenges, right, what running has done for me, it's completely changed my life outside of just running. I'm talking about like professional, like at work, the effort I put into the business I'm doing, the effort that I do in any other aspect of my life. You know, it makes it that much better because I'm handling these little things. I'm making myself uncomfortable on a daily basis when I run. That these other things are not that uncomfortable, because growing is uncomfortableness.
Yeah.
Right. Like one of the videos that I put out on the YouTube, I talk about frustration. Frustration are the growing pains of whatever it is that you're trying to grow in. Right. And so if you're doing something and you're not feeling frustrated, like, you're not growing.
Not at all.
Right. You can like fucking just trick yourself into thinking that you're doing. Now, that being said, there is going to be a time where things are just going to get gradually easier, right?
Yeah.
But that just means that you're getting to the point where you have to peak at another level, you know?
I just got a little love letter from Jonathan telling us about the time.
Oh, okay.
So cute, right?
That's nice.
So we're 30 minutes in.
You don't have to mention that.
It was so cute. I had to mention it.
But yeah, man, like, you know, you have to put yourself in those uncomfortable situations. That's how you know that you're growing, you know? Not only that, but it builds that mental toughness.
Yeah, you got to callous your mind.
Yeah, you have to, like, the reason why you do uncomfortable things, right, is because you just feel more reward. Remember, it's about releasing those chemicals.
Yeah.
Right? Is whenever you do too much easy shit, then whenever the shit gets hard, you got an abundance of those negative chemicals coming in. So challenging yourself and doing these things releases those positive chemicals, and eventually your mindset starts to change into a more of a positive mindset.
Yeah, like, we talk about working out a lot, which is what we do, but so you and I, like, we've been gym partners before, and we've always kept like a positive, like, frame of mind. We've kept like the idea of like, okay, we're out of shape, this is not where we want to be, this is where we're going to get to. And then you were like, you're going to get there, or like, come hell or high water. And something that you said to me that I kind of took to heart, which I still do, and was probably why I don't have like a lot of other gym partners, was when we're in the gym and we're working out, and this is our time, this is like our me time, this is the time that you get to be selfish because you're specifically working on yourself. Because you're sitting there looking in the mirror and you're like, okay, this is what I want to change. This is what I want to make better. This is what I need to do. And in order to do that, I have to put in work. I have to eat right. I have to sleep more. I have to do any number of things that it's going to take to change the person that I see in the mirror. Like, for me, I believe in that, like, fully. Like, when I look at myself in the mirror and notice that I can make changes and notice that I can get better, all I have to do is, like, continue to work, and I can get there if I'm not there yet. That's the path that I like to go down. And I do that with work. If I don't know something, I read everything I need to know about it. In my mind, I want to be the very best. So even though I don't know something, moment one, I know that shit. I'm going to get there, and it might just not be yet.
Yeah, I mean, you know, another part of mindset that I think needs to be mentioned is like a belief in what it is that you said that you're gonna go do. You know, like, you have to believe that you can accomplish the things that you're gonna set out to accomplish, whatever the goal is, right? Like,
right.
You know, if you're gonna go out for a certain degree, like, you have to believe that you can do that. You know, now you can use the growth mindset to help get you there, but at the end of the day, there has to be belief. Because belief is what's going to make you come in and build the routine and build the habit of getting better, right? And another part of that is that you also have to have faith, right? And the big difference for me is belief carries you on the day-to-day, right? It's like I'm gonna do so much studying. I'm gonna exercise so many minutes. I'm gonna do it's that routine.
Yeah.
Where faith comes in about having faith that you can do it. Those are when you get down to the dark times.
Oh.
The times in your brain where you're like, when you because a growth mindset isn't permanent.
Right.
You're gonna fluctuate, right? There's gonna be times where that negativity is just gonna creep up. You're gonna be tired, right? Physically tired, right? From either too much studying, too much drawing, too much studying. Like, you're gonna put your body through so much shit. You're gonna get weak. Your will is gonna get weak, and you're gonna sit there and you're gonna be like, I don't think I can do this. Yeah, and that's where that faith comes in. That you have to have faith. Faith is what carries you through the dark times. Belief is what carries you through the day to day.
Yeah, when you really get into like those dark times and things might not be going like the way that you want them to go, you got to go back to the dungeon. You have to go back to like what it is that like initially drove you to want to be whatever you want to be. You know, having like the mindset that you can like get there, just not there yet, is great. But like the belief that you can get there, the belief that you see the goal, like you see like the goal on the end of the horizon or at the top of the mountain or however they say it. You know, like believing in that and having faith in yourself, because you're the person who's like the driving force to get you there. And if you don't believe in yourself in the day to day, you're not gonna have faith in yourself to like complete everything in the long run. Yeah. And you have to kind of like develop like a sort of mental toughness. Like you have to be prepared for no matter what it is, no matter how big or how small, that there's a possibility that you could fail, and failing's fine, but you just got to pick back up and try again. You got to have like that mindset where you're like, I'm going to fucking do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, your habits have a lot to do with it, you know, like, your habits have a lot to do with your self-esteem. You know, when you have to start out with doing things that you can accomplish. Because the reason why a lot of us fail at the things that we try to do is because we just don't believe ourselves. You know, how many times have we said, hey, you know what? I'm gonna lose this extra weight. I'm gonna have a 6-pack this summer. You know, I'm gonna run 10 miles. You know, I'm gonna actually take this semester serious. I'm actually gonna be a manager. You know, I'm actually gonna move up in the company. I'm gonna get my diploma. Like whatever it is that we say we're gonna do, right? And then, you know, another year comes by, and then you remember, damn, I wanted to do this, and I'm in the exact same position 1 year later than I was the year before.
That's happened to me quite a bit.
Yeah, and
January 1st, I'm like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna get all A's. I'm gonna work out 6 days a week. I'm gonna eat better. I'm gonna lose extra weight. And then, kind of like how you said earlier, like one little thing can like go wrong in your schedule, and that one little thing can turn into 2 things, can turn into 3 things. You can throw your entire day off, and that one bad day is one bad day. You can just a lot of people can just get back up on the next day and like, okay, cool, I'm gonna do better than yesterday. Yeah. But if they're like, I don't know what to do, like I don't see like how I can fix this. That's how you're talking about. Like a year ago, I said I was gonna do this, and I was pumped up, and then one day changed everything, and now here I am a year later, thinking the same thought that I had the same last year. Like I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, but I don't know how to now.
Yeah. There was another study that I saw, and I forgot to write the lady's name down, but basically there was a certain procedure, right? And it had a 70% success rate, right? And so they got patients that were going to go through the procedure, and half of them, the doctor told them, hey, there's a 70% success rate. And the other half, they told them there's a 30% fail rate, right? And so the patients that were told the 70% felt better about doing the procedure than those that did the 30, right? But there was, later on, they mentioned to the ones that were positive, and they were like, hey, like, this 30%, like they reframed it as the 30%, right? Failure rate. Those that were that were once positive ended up turning into a negative, right? And those that were negative, well, actually, only half of them turned negative, right? Some still felt kind of good about the procedure, but when the ones that were told the negative, the 30% failure, right? When they were told about the positive, none of them changed their mind. The reason I say that is because your mind works in such a way that the negativity sticks more. So when you say, I'm going to do something, and then you don't do it, you're failing yourself, and you start to lose belief in the words that you think and the words that you say. And when you start doing that, like, that's why it's so hard when you sit there again and say, oh, I'm going to lose weight, this year. And it's not as effective as the time that you said it the year before. And that year was less effective than the year before. You stop believing in yourself. So what you have to start doing is you're going to say, I'm going to do this, right? And I'm not there yet, but I'm going to get there. And I'm going to start with step 1. And you make step 1, whatever it is, something that's fairly easy for you to do. And then you do it. Yeah, you create that habit.
You create that habit. You build those little victories.
Yeah.
Same concept when it comes to actually wanting to go to the gym. Step 1, put on your shoes. Step 2, get your keys. Step 3, get in the car. Step 4, you're there, and you're ready to do work.
Yeah.
Those little victories, no matter how small, like, they're gonna help you get through what comes next. And a lot of people, because we're talking about, like, it comes to work, a lot of people don't want to work for whatever they're going to get, or they don't want to work for the possibility of failure. And I think that scares a lot of people. It scares me sometimes.
Yeah.
Like how we're talking about, like, it becomes less and less effective the more you say and the more you don't do.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's accountable for themselves.
Right.
So you have to help build the belief in yourself when you've brought yourself down so much, right? And you do that, again, by the hard stuff. You start hardening your mind. You start doing that stuff. And then, again, you also have to have faith. And, like, you build the faith by knowing if it has been done, you can do it.
How many times have you, like, torn yourself down to, like, the bare bones to be like, okay, I'm not happy with any number of things that have gone on in my life, but now I'm at the point where I'm going to say, fuck all that. I'm going to tear myself down completely. I'm going to be completely honest with what I see, what I feel, and what I think. And then you start that process of building yourself back up.
Well, I would say that I did that. I do that periodically. When I did it, like, maybe 2-3 years ago, when on the last episode we were talking about the accountability mirror, like, that I only had to do one time. Once I really broke myself down and I was honest with myself, what that allowed me to do is, as I continue on this journey, because I broke myself down and I saw what was wrong with myself, I then recognize it when I go back to those other habits. Okay. So that's when I have to check myself. That's when I have to tell myself, hey, like, you better keep your shit together, bro. Like, we've been here before, so don't fall into those same habits that you had before.
Yeah.
And so really with me, and with anything, like with everybody, you got to understand that this is going to be, like, this is a lifelong journey.
Yeah. There's
right?
no finish line.
Yeah. There's no finish line. And that's why you, like, crash diets, they never work, right? Like, doing things like changing your whole world from one moment to the other never works, because you don't build those long-term habits.
You can't go from one extreme and step into another.
You can't.
If you're not ready for it. You have to, like how you're saying, you have to build those habits. And even if it is slow, like that little victory, that little habit that you just developed, that's going to help you down the road. That shit's just going to keep building up. Yeah. You're going to keep being successful if you continue on that path. But if you try to jump from, like, one extreme to another, you're going to feel overwhelmed. You're going to feel any manner of, like, disappointment when you don't
Yeah.
reach your goal, and then you're gonna sit there and you're gonna have to think about it like, well, fuck, like now I gotta go back. Now I got to go back to the dungeon. Now I got to think about myself. Now I got to break myself down for a third time, a fourth time. How am I going to get there?
Yeah, if you look in the mirror and you see a whiny little bitch, you're gonna be a little bitch for your whole fucking life, right?
Right.
Like that, like just and like accept it, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what I sit there and I think about when I think about myself, right? It's like that. That's what I told myself. It's like, Peter, you're a little bitch. You're fucking lazy. You know?
Cut that out and give me that as a soundbite. I want that to be my text tone.
But that's what I tell myself. So when I start like bitching, when I start being like, oh, but this, but that, you know, like I'm like, hey, you're being a little bitch. You know, like fucking it has to get done. The work doesn't go away. You could whine about it, you could reason it, and you can ignore it, but the work remains undone.
Whether it be working out or working, like I get in those points where I'm like, I feel like I want to stop, and I tell myself, it's like, okay, don't stop because you want to, like stop when you're done. This is the grind, right? Like if you're running, run further. If you're lifting, get those last few sets in. And if it's work, it's like, answer that last email. I know it's 4:55 in the afternoon on a Friday, but do you really want that to carry over to Monday? Like, do it now, do it right, and then when it comes, like, the next week, when it comes the next run, when it comes the next, like, workout, like, you put in that effort, and you earned that last rep, that last mile. You earned the respect of, like, the last person that you spoke to, like, at work at 4:55 on a Friday. Like, that's going to change your mind. That's going to change your attitude. Like, you're not going to sit there and be like, like I didn't want to do it, so I didn't do it. You know, you're not going to think about that later. That's not going to be the thing that haunts you. Because what if that thing that happened on Friday, like at work, turns into an even bigger deal over the weekend, and then you step into something that could have been avoided altogether on Monday? That's going to send you spiraling. I've been there.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, as we was getting to the end of the podcast, one thing that I wanted to talk about is like how, right? How do we go from a soft mindset to a harder mindset? How do we callous our minds, right? How do we? All right, I've been accountable, right? Like I've said, hey, Peter, you're a lazy bitch.
Again, right? I need that as a text tone. Send me that snippet.
So I've gone in on myself, right? And you know what? I found out I am fixed mindset on some things, right? And I've been growth on other because it's not 100%.
Yeah,
right?
like you can flip flop.
Yeah. So yeah, my mindset for the most part is pretty shitty. So how do we get there, right? We've mentioned a little bit, you know, but I wanna kind of just more talk about how you're doing it and have done it and how I've done it.
So with anything positive that I've done, I have to say that there's been like a negativity that's been like the start. It can be sadness, or a lot of the times I use anger as a way of getting past certain like roadblocks. And because I've checked myself, I've hurt my own feelings. Like I've looked in the mirror, kind of like how you said, Peter, I'm a little bitch. I've done the same. I've looked at myself and be like, you're a slob. You're this. You are fucking worthless. And I've had to break myself down. I've had to check myself. Like I've brought myself to tears. Like I've hurt my own feelings. And I'm like, okay, I've torn myself down. Like I've raised myself to the ground. Now what am I going to do to better myself? And if it's with my fitness, like I looked at myself again and was like, you're not where you want to be. You're unhappy. This is what you need to do to change, so fucking do it. When it came to like my relationships with like my friends, like I've been like, okay, cool. Like I've not always been the best friend, and I want to change that. I don't want to sit there and put myself in a fixed mindset where I hide behind the facade of just being a great friend when I've been an asshole to everybody. I have to check myself and be like, okay, well, how can I come back from that? How can I prove to you or to Jonathan or to any of my other friends that like I'm not an asshole? Like, I'm a good friend. I might not be the best friend, but let's get there. I want to be the best friend to everybody.
Yeah.
And that might not be like a realistic goal, but I want to treat people the way that I want to be treated, and therefore I'm gonna treat them like as if we are like best friends.
Yeah.
And like I said, I do use anger a lot to work out like my frustrations. I used to like refer to going to the gym as like punishing myself so I wouldn't be punishing somebody else. Because that's, again, selfish time. That's me time.
Yeah.
That's when I get to go to the dungeon. I get to go to a dark place. I get to tell myself like that I'm anything just to like fuel that fire, just to like get through like the next rep.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I was a personal trainer before, and one thing that I tell people is that when people want to get in shape, not everybody thinks about being a bodybuilder or being all huge, right? Like some people just want to get healthier, right?
Yeah.
And everybody starts thinking about like, oh, I'm gonna get in shape, and the first thing they think about is leg day, chest day, you know, back and by, you know, and all that stuff. And it's like these are bodybuilding workouts and like how they structure their week. But it's become so popular that when people start thinking about the gym, they start, well, I'm gonna have a chest day today, I'm gonna have a leg day today, and the same thing when they decide they want to, you know, get in shape, they're like, well, I'm gonna start eating healthy, breakfast, lunch, dinner, you know, like. Now that I tell people, like, because people still ask me for training advice, I'm like, throw that shit away. Don't think about that shit. That is not sustainable. You know, it's not the way it works anymore. So what I started doing, right, that in me retraining myself, right, is like, okay, I'm not looking to be the biggest. I'm not looking to like have all these. That's not for me. I just want to be functional. I don't want to like dread getting down on the floor to play with my son because he loves playing with cars, and he gets freaking down on the ground and he sits there and it's like, fuck, dude. You know,
so do you know
when I get down, I ain't coming back up, bro.
Yeah,
you know, yeah, like
you hear these bones cracking, son?
Yeah, like
this is your future.
Yeah, and like I don't want him to see that, right? I want to be able to play with my kids, you know, like my daughter's older, and I feel real ashamed that like she didn't get to experience that type of dad, you know? So there was a book that I read called The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. I read it a long time ago, but one thing that stayed with me is that they were trying to get people to quit smoking. And so instead of telling them to stop smoking, they got this lady to start, like, I think it was like brushing her teeth like every like 3 days a week or something like that. It was something that, I mean, 3 days a week, 3 days.
I was like, only 3 days a week? What the?
3 times a day. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 times a day, right? Or something like that. It was just a small habit that they did. And what they realized is that not only did she stop smoking, she got in shape, her outlook in life got better. So when I started marinating on that, I was like, okay, so this is where I want to get, right? And I'm not there yet, but what would get me one step closer? So when I was training, when I got into really good shape, I actually stopped drinking like Cokes and stuff like that. I knew that was the easiest thing for me to do. That was going to be step one. So what I did is I just stopped drinking Coke. That's it. That's the only thing I changed in my life. Is I just stopped drinking, and I made that a habit. I just started drinking water. At first it was kind of hard, so I had to do like the what are they called, LaCroix or whatever they're called.
I think.
Yeah.
Is that LaCroix?
Yeah.
LaCroix?
Yeah. You know, I felt fancy as fuck. Right.
You drink it out of a wine glass.
Yeah, but what it allowed me to do is it kind of helped me curb that, right? And so then, you know, just regular water, and then that Topo Chico, you know, and like, so eventually I cut that out. Well, once I started cutting that out, I was like, well, shit, now that I've done that, you know, like, let me change my breakfast.
Yeah.
You know, so then I was like, all right, I'll eat whatever the fuck I want for lunch and dinner, but my breakfast is going to be the same every day. So I started doing that. So now I'm not drinking this, and all of a sudden my calories start going down, right? Now since I'm thinking, shit, I'm not enjoying what I'm drinking. I'm not enjoying my breakfast, you know? Well, shit, hell yeah, I'm going to go hard at the gym, you know? Because if I'm sacrificing this, I'm going to start sacrificing that. But what I'm doing, right, in these small little things, when I stopped drinking those Cokes and I started drinking more water and all that stuff, I was making my mind a little bit harder, right? Now, I didn't change my whole fucking life, right? Because it's like you don't make, like, willpower, they show that willpower actually goes down as the day progresses. So that's why you start off great, but then, like, towards the end, that's when you start snacking. That's when you start having that cake. You know, it always happens at night. It's because your willpower gets less.
Cakes.
Yeah. So what I did is I started creating mental toughness with small things. And I started creating belief and faith because I'm doing these things.
Yeah.
I'm being like, it's like, okay, I know it's just this, but hey, if I could do this, then I'm good. And another thing is I didn't beat myself up the times that I didn't do that. You know what? I'm on the long run, right? This happened. Okay, it happened. But it's going to happen with less frequency. And you continue to going. You start changing little habits and you start creating bigger ones to where now I mostly every day of the week do good. And when I don't do, like, it's not some crazy shit. Like, I'm not adding, like, this huge amount of cake, these donuts, like all in one day, right?
Yeah.
And you create these habits. I started running 1 mile every day, just every day. And then 2 miles and then 3 miles. The times I had started running before, the first time I ran 10 miles was like maybe a month into me start running. And then all of a sudden I ran 10 miles and I'm like, I'm going to need like 3-4 months to like recover.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I just gave up on it.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I created a habit of like running a 5K once I got to that point every day. No more, no less. But what I was doing is a 5K takes about 30 minutes. So I was just taking 30 minutes of my day to run,
Yeah.
So that's that's how you do it. You just create the habits.
Yeah. So, like with my running, like I'll pick out like a point. Like, okay, like when I first started, I'd pick out a point. Like, okay, I have to run to that point. And then I'd get there. And I would tell myself, okay, no matter what happens, no matter how long you can run before you have to walk, you are no longer allowed to stop before you get to this point. And then along the run, I'd pick out another point. And if I could run to that, I'm like, okay, now you know how far you can go. You can never stop here. And then that's what, like, how I've been able to like run longer. Like, I'm still not like to your level, but what I've been done is like aim small, miss small, right? I pick out a point. That point is no longer am I allowed to stop at that point. I have to run past that. And each time, like, getting further along, and getting there faster has been a really good, like, progression. And it's actually been therapeutic. Not only go out there and run, to not just work out, but to, like, study for, like, these, like, podcasts, to have these conversations with you. Like, these help me through the week. And I really, like, this is the 3rd episode. I'm so happy to be doing this. I hope that we do more. And I hope that we can, like, actually, like, reach people who are maybe in like a similar situation where they're not sure what they want to do. They're not sure how they can change their mindset. They're not sure how they can be accountable for a lot of like things that they want to do. Yeah. Like, this helps me. I know it helps you. Yeah. And I hope it helps other people.
Yeah, for sure, guys. Like, your mindset is so important, right? So be accountable, right? The first part. We had a whole episode. Be accountable to yourself. You're failing nobody else but yourself. And every time you fail yourself, you hurt your mindset. Now do the reverse. Start building small habits that are easy to do to start building that momentum. Put on your shoes, right? It all starts with putting on your shoes. So start those small habits. Build that momentum. There was a really good video that I think you guys should look. It's from... the channel's Fight Mediocrity, and the doctor was Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he had this whole meeting about reprogramming your mind, right? And so one thing that he said that kind of was left an impression on me, he said, your personality creates your personal reality. So just remember that the attitude that you have on your day-to-day life is the reason why you're at where you're at. And if you're not happy, it's going to be because of you. Create those habits. Do small, easy things that help you build belief and faith in yourself to get you to the level that you're trying to get to. You know, you have to be able to do these things. You have to reprogram your mind. Having a growth mindset, having a healthy mindset, and having a positive mindset is not something that's going to happen overnight. It's not something that is permanent, right? The person who you are when you're at your lowest, when you are sitting there saying there needs to be some type of change, whatever that change is, whatever it is the goal that you're trying to reach, that thing is what's going to help you start changing your mindset. And how you do one thing is how you do all things. And how you do all things is how you do one thing. It's something I tell my kids. It's like, you can't sit there and go to work and have a shitty attitude about work, but expect that when you come in and do the thing that you love, that it's going to be that much better. Because if you cut corners in one area, you'll cut corners in all areas.
I can agree with that.
That's just something that I want you guys to understand. There's no way that you can. There's no way. That's why all the great people do everything they do the way that they do it. So I hope that you guys understand that we're not reinventing the wheel, and we didn't invent this shit. You know, like the shit that we're getting are from studies that people have done in the past 10, 20 years. And a lot of the things that we talk about, this controlling the controllables, is stuff that the Stoics were talking about back in ancient times. The truth is the truth, and the knowledge that we're trying to give out to you guys has been knowledge for a long time. Just discipline yourself and help your mindset.
Exactly.
Cool. So
just give it up for PhD Peter over here.
I mean, I think this is a pretty good episode, right?
I mean, yeah, like I really, you took the lead on this one. Like, I feel like you had like a much better, like, so I'm gonna be honest with you, right? Like, as much studying as I did, like, there was still like a lot about like the mindset that, like, even though like I put into practice like regularly, I'm sitting there like, man, how am I gonna talk about this? Like, this is stuff that's in my brain. Like, this is like sometimes I'm just like, people don't want to hear that, like, I use anger as a motivator, or
it's a bad mindset to have.
Sometimes, like, but like I get past that, right? Like, if I start out angry and I go do something, like, if I go work out, like, I'm less aggravated. Like, there's things that are gonna happen in your life, right, that might like push you into like a fixed mindset where you're like, man, I'm in a rut, I'm never gonna get out of it. But that's not the right attitude to have. Yeah. So what do? I use that fixed mindset frustration, and I turn it into a positive. Yeah. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna put my shoes on. I'm gonna get to the gym. I'm gonna work out all this anger. I'm gonna work out all this frustration, sadness, or whatever it is, whatever I've done to like check myself, like from the accountability mirror. I'm gonna use that to get to where I want to be. I'm not there. I can get there though. I'm not there yet, but that yet part, like from Carol Dweck, is something that I really like latched onto from like her conversations. Yeah. And I think that's something that like a lot of people need to understand. Like, you might not be where you want to be, but you can get there. Yeah. You just have to like be accountable for yourself. You got to have like that motivation. You got to have like that growth mindset, and you can get there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, guys. I mean, we can do it.
If we can do it, anybody can do it.
Yeah, we believe in you guys, right? Like, I know a lot of it right now. The people that listen to these are people that know us. Yeah, and you know, we believe in you, right? Because even the things that we've done right now, like, may not be much, but at one point we didn't even believe we could do what we were doing, right? Like now, I ran 14 miles. I've never ran 14 miles before. You know, like it just seemed like my job's 20 miles away. That's just like, 6 more miles, right? So, like, I hope that what y'all get is that, I hope that you guys believe in yourselves as much as we believe in y'all, because, doing this is us trying to tell you guys how much we believe in y'all. Right? Like, we didn't uncover any secrets. We just read some shit and was like, damn, this shit really influenced my life and it's getting me on the right path. And hopefully this can help you guys. Like, we just want you guys to know that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so, since we're coming to the end, I want to make sure that, as the tradition of inspirational people, I was gonna look at like more stories like Crystal Cantu and Chris Nikic, but I felt like since this one's mindset, I had to shout out like David Goggins as the people that you guys should look into. If you haven't, please look into him. He just shows you what mindset can be.
Yeah.
Right? Like what the human body and the human mind are capable of. Just listen to him running his first 100 miles to qualify. And that will to qualify for the
bad water.
The bad water. And that right there will just show you what you are capable of. Right? Yeah. I can't mention how inspirational this guy is. Like, this guy made me get off my ass and start running.
Yeah, he says, like, he's like, don't look up to me. He's like, the shit that you read, like, you read that in a book, and stuff that I did. He's like, but don't look up to me. He's like, I'm not out here trying to, like, motivate you. I'm out here trying to live. I'm out here trying to train for life. One of my favorite, I've told you before, like, one of my favorite things that, like, Goggins said was, like, about the guy that, like, drove past him. Was like, it's hot. Why are you running? He's like, because you're not. Mm-hmm. Like, the mindset that he has where it's like 5 a.m. We're going to do shit that sucks. We're going to wake up. Get up, motherfucker. Let's go.
Yeah. I had to, on mindset, I had to say that. If you haven't looked him up, sorry. If you haven't looked him up, please look him up. Like, that guy, he's definitely somebody to look up to for sure.
For sure. But as we're coming to an end, again, just want to kind of let you know that we are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Facebook, Instagram, even the TikTok. The TikTok and the Instagram and the Facebook stuff is actually a little bit more funny because of the way Jonathan cuts it. It's like our own personal highlight reel. Mm-hmm. And again, Jonathan, I just want to thank you for helping us out, buddy.
Just to let y'all know, Jonathan's nasty.
He's super nasty. He's gonna cut this shit out.
Yeah. Just because I don't have a microphone doesn't mean I can't defend myself.
Nah, that's how this works. We have the mics, we have the voices.
But
I can edit you any way I want.
But guys, but thanks for another week, and we'll see you guys next week.
Next week.
Episode
4, which is
persistence.
Cool.
We're
on track now.
Yep.